I have nothing against actually looking better, but I do want to talk about the serious, like, societal downsides and consequences of following this looks maxing trend. Is I just think that the community is garbage. I think that the community really does destroy what we can do to combat it, but also what actually works, but mainly really just what combats it and what you should actually do. I'd say the first thing is one of the biggest problems with looks maxing is it just focuses on a lot of stuff that a lot of us can't control, like our jaw structure and our bone structure and our height. Now, granted, I know there's like an entire space that talks about actually you can control that, and that's what I mean by like bone smashing. And yeah, I mean, you can take hormones and technically get taller and stuff, but I just think that that's not the answer that we need in the long run for our mental health. But I also think the bigger picture is here. A lot of that stuff, even with the growth hormone, even if bone smashing does work, it doesn't do a lot. Like, just at all. And I don't think that basing your entire looks or your entire life and self-image on your height or your canthal tilt is going to make you feel better. And it also doesn't always mean that you're going to get with more partners. I mean, like, I'm not trying to be like that guy that says it doesn't work, because, like, don't get me wrong, if you're attractive, you're attractive, you know. But what I am saying is there's a lot more that goes into that, and I feel like even looks maxers would agree with that, at least sensible ones, right? I'm not saying that there's things that you can't control. Yes, you can go to the gym. Yes, you can eat better. Yes, you can, have a skincare routine and take care of yourself. But there's a big problem now where people are trying to control things that they just can't change. Focus on the stuff that you can change, like becoming a better person, cleaning your face, taking a shower if you're not showering. All these looks maxing activities can really be broken down to just basic health, basic care. Even they would all agree that a lot of the stuff that people quote unquote find attractive, it's just health markers. It's literally, like, they literally call it that. It's just a health marker. So if you do things that make you healthy, you become more healthy. It's really hard for me to follow all these looks maxing trends and to, like, look at it seriously when there's dudes who, like, are chopped, smashing their face with a hammer and saying this is the method. I mean, I'm just going to be honest here. If you're like an ugly dude, if you go to the gym, wash your face, take a couple showers, take better care of yourself, get your hygiene up, maybe get a little bit of a better, style going on, things that you can control. Again, looks maxers would agree with this. You can just go up a couple points on their scale, right? It's not all about your face shape and everything. There are things that you can actually control. But my biggest problem is the community focuses on these things that can't be changed. Let's focus on what we can control. Next biggest problem that I have with looks maxing, I think most people do, is looks maxing is not the answer to all of your insecurity. Now, yes, if you feel bad about yourself, you think that you look ugly or something, I can see how it mentally makes you feel better to think, well, I'm just a sub 5, so now I need to go up a couple points. I understand that mindset, especially since it's kind of like a light in the darkness kind of thing. But if you're only focusing on looks maxing, what are you going to be if you're a 10 out of 10 and then what? You have no money, no game. Let's say you're like clavicular, you're not even going to the gym, like you don't have anything. You earn one thing. I mean, I understand when people say, especially rich people, focus on one thing, specialize in one thing. But I don't think that a lot of people would say your 10 out of 10 jawline is going to get you $1 million. It's just not. There's a lot of stuff to work on in life. Looks is one of them. Again, I'm not completely against it. But what I will say is, if you're focusing only on looks, you're gonna feel like shit in the long run. And if you want to take it to the extreme, like you see like clavicular doing, you're gonna get hurt because you're taking drugs to look a certain way and you're getting surgeries and you're, doing all these crazy things for, I'm sorry, but it's a trend. It's literally a trend. All of that instead of just going to the gym and accepting maybe the 1 point under. The dating market is not that worth it, dude. The things that are actually going to make you feel better in life about yourself and about the world around you is everything that you work on. If you're rich, yes, you're going to feel better. If you look better, yes, you're going to feel better. If you're fit, yes, you're going to feel better. But if I was rich and I couldn't do anything because I was too physically incapable, if I was rich and I can't talk to a woman, then what's my life? You have nothing if you can't do anything other than look good, right? That's how I look at looks maxing. That's how I look at a lot of these people that look and focus on one thing, but they don't have a life. You know, I'm all for grinding, but it's not meant to be one thing. You're not meant to be jacked, but poor. You're not meant to be rich, but physically incapable. You're meant to be both, at least morally speaking. And I mean, for yourself, I mean, think about it for a second. I'm not saying to stop washing your face. I'm not saying to, I guess stop watching Clavicular. But what I am saying is take this stuff with a grain of salt. And, you're going to feel better about yourself if you focus on everything that matters, not just one thing at a time. Because at the end of the day, you'll achieve it and then you'll just feel terrible about yourself. Focus on multiple things. Don't just focus on one thing at a time, because that's never going to make you feel better about yourself in the long run, especially something like looks. Looksmaxing is a trend, and it should be treated as such. I'm all for improving yourself, and I'm not saying that the entire community is stupid or has no value. But what I am saying is, in a world full of all these crazy things and all this crazy advice that can or cannot help you, just be careful.